Thank you so much. Happy New Year to all of you in Radio Land. Those of you following us via Facebook on the Integrity TV page, we say welcome. The program you are in tune to right now is called Integrity Watch. It is a 1-hour radio program brought to you by the Center for Transparency in Accountability Liberia. It is aired every Wednesday on Truth 96.1 FM. It runs from 11 to 12 noon. It is the primary radio-based communication and information dissemination platform of the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. It is a key advocacy tool that provides essential information around the state of the fight against corruption, national integrity building efforts, as well as promotes the culture of accountability, transparency, and evidence-based decision-making across all sectors of Liberia. Under CENTAL's National Integrity Building and Anti-Corruption Program, funded by the government and people of Sweden through the Swedish International Development Corporation Agency, or SIDA, the radio program serves as an engagement, coordination, and advocacy platform that rallies citizens and other stakeholders' support for the fight against corruption and bad governance. As part of this program, CENTAL has established the Advocacy and Legal Advice Center, known as ALAC. The ALAC is an independent platform that enables citizens to freely report and seek redress to corruption and other integrity-related issues. So there are a team of professionals at ALAC, including lawyers who are ready and willing to respond to whatever complaint you may file. So we encourage our citizens to take advantage of our ALAC numbers. There are the number, which is the hotline number. So it's 4432. That's the hotline number you can call. So both GSMs, if you're using Orange, no stress. You're using Lone Star, you can call, it's free of charge. So you can call 4432 to report issues about corruption. We have walk-in services. CENTAL is located just opposite the John F. Kennedy Medical Center. You can come upstairs and be able to interact with our professionals who are there to be able to listen to whatever complaint you may file. Maybe you need access to information. We help you in that light. You want to have access to legal advice. You need legal advice. We can help you as well. So as part of this effort, we've said over and over that the fight against corruption cannot be won by a single institution or individual. So we work along with the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission. So the LACC has hotline numbers that you can call to report issues about corruption. So the hotline numbers for LACC are 0555 395 728 or 4048 for LACC hotline number, the short code. Or you can call the orange number 0776 6050 0776 600050. So those are the numbers you can call to report corruption, either to the LSCC or you report to CENTAL ALAC program. So we encourage you to join the fight against corruption so that we can make Liberia a corruption-free nation. The Integrity Watch radio program is very civil and informative with zero tolerance on the use of invectives on this platform. So today is January the 5th, 2021, and this edition of the program is playing host to the Executive Director of the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia, CENTAL, Mr. D. Anderson Miamen. He is our guest on the program this morning. Mr. Miamen, good morning.
Good.
Go ahead.
Okay. Good morning, Sam. Good morning to the rest of your team members, and good morning to our listening audience. I'm glad to be here. It's been many months since I came here. It's always a pleasure to have the opportunity to interact with the public.
Thank you. So that's the voice of Anderson Miamen. He's the Executive Director of the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. So today, we have come to have year in review. So he has come to talk about what were the things that were done in 2021, what are the successes that were scored, what were the challenges that were encountered And what are the prospects for 2022? What do we expect of the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia and the fight against corruption in our beloved motherland, Liberia? So before we go to that part of the program, let us go to little things that matter. And on the little things that matter, we want to say to our audience and to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Liberia, good morning, sir. Happy New Year to the people of Liberia and to His Excellency George Manawia. Happy New Year, and thank God that we crossed over and we have come to see another new year and to embrace this year with all of the vigor and all of the level of commitment we have to deal with the things that we have on our decks, including the development of our beloved country, Liberia. Your Excellency, we greet you and to remind you that we have entered the new year 2022, and we want to remind you about commitments that you've made and reiterated to the fight against corruption in Liberia. Your Excellency, this new year, we look forward to seeing concrete commitment on concrete actions taken to the fight against corruption, and we will not, want to always hear and continuously hear commitments by words and not by action. Now is a time that we take concrete action to make sure that we stem down on corruption in all of its forms and manner. We must make sure that Liberia and Liberians have the best of their resources. If we must do that, it means that the leadership of our country must be very firm, robust in making sure that those who are accused of acts of corruption have their days in court and the rule of law is strengthened so that people can trust the system. So the system and those who are leading the fight against corruption must be trusted. It means that we must take action and make sure that the rule of law is strong. So thank you. Those are things we wanted to remind you about and not to leave out the issue involving your chief of special project coordinator, Maketa. Your Excellency, this matter has lingered for a very long time. We look forward to hearing from your office the outcome of this matter. It involves the dignity of the presidency. So that is the reason why we gain interest in it so that whatever way it goes, so that the public can know, so that the public can understand that this is, this was not the case and this was what happened, so that we can be clear about it, Your Excellency. We look forward to hearing concrete actions, reports released on this matter and other matters that involve acts of corruption. Thank you ever so much. Those are things we wanted to talk about to bring to this, the president's attention. And we will take a break. When we come back, we go straight over to our guests to begin our discussion. Let's take a break. Welcome back to the program, Interpreter Wash. Like we said, it's a 1 hour radio program brought to you by the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. It runs from 11 to 12 noon, right here on Truth 96.1 FM. So today is Wednesday, January the 5th, 2021, and this edition is playing host to the Executive Director of the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia, Anderson Miamen, and completed the introduction. And now we begin our discussion by asking to Miamen, how is the family and how is CENTAL?
Well, Sam, I'm okay. Again, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks to the True FM family for this partnership. It's been a worthwhile one over the years. We look forward to more of these kinds of engagements so that together we contribute to processes leading to enhancement of our governance process in the country. The family is okay. We're glad to be back. Like indicated on my page, we're coming back with renewed energy and vigor to continue from where we stopped in 2021. The challenges are there. There've been progress over the period, whether marginal or not. But the important thing is that the commitment remains for us to continue to contribute towards what's needed to make Liberia a better country. So thank you for your contributions to the process. Your team, Geraldine here, Mark, who has been instrumental in getting this program running. Geraldine as well that has stepped in to contribute. We'd like to say thank you to you and the team and the rest of the colleagues at the office, and of course our partners that we continue to work with.
Great, great. Okay, so we've laid the basis. So let's what are some of the things that we achieved in 2021 that we can talk about?
So yeah, as you know, and many persons out there know, CENTAL has been around for some time, and what we have been committed to that we continue to do is to uh, lead civil society efforts in the fight against corruption in Liberia. Of course, in doing this, we're not oblivious of the fact that there will be challenges. We've had challenges over the period. We expect challenges to come as we move on. But the important thing is the will.
Mhm.
For the will to exist to surmount these challenges and do those things that people out there require of us. So that's the most important thing. We started the year off with a retreat that was meant to plan for what the institution would have done during the course of the year. That's 2021. No more things were identified, but I think overall we committed to playing our role as a civil society organization. Of course, not individually, because we cannot achieve the things we want to achieve alone. We have to work with partners, our donors, the Swedish government that has been very instrumental in helping us to implement the different activities and the programs that we have at the moment. Um, USAID over the period that has been a partner, Transparency International, most importantly, of which we're the chapter in Liberia, has been very critical to our work in Liberia, providing technical support, intermittently financial support as well to perform our job. And of course, the public integrity institutions, the LACC, General Auditing Commission, Public Procurement Concession Commission, the Liberia Strategic Industry Transparency Initiative, and all the other institutions, especially those that are part of the National Integrity Forum that we've worked with over the period to enhance the fight against corruption. Again, the results may not be what we want, but the important thing is that we continue to speak out, we continue to engage with the process, reports continue to come up, and citizens continue to speak out about what is needed to improve on the fight against corruption in Liberia. And the year 2021 was largely successful year for CENTAL. Most importantly, because we retained our stance in the anti-corruption space of our position. Um, what did we do in particular? As you know, the Swedish project is the biggest project at CENTAL right now. It has a number of activities and programs, whole activities that we have been implementing over the period of the last 1 year and more. We implemented the first year beginning August 2020 up to July 2021, and we started the second year. And we're 6 months now, 7 months into the second year of the project. number of things have been happening. Thanks to again the Swedish government for the support they've provided. We've been able to establish and maintain the advocacy.
One first, so let's talk about other projects that we're going to substantially do with the NIBA program, which is the National Integrity and Anti-Corruption Program. But other projects that CENTAL was able to, activities that you're involved with over the year, and including maybe they can go into the national
specifics of the NIBA program. So one of the things that we do at CENTAL is to engage with partners. Whether it is civil society, the media, public integrity institutions, we believe very strongly that partnership is the way out in the fight against corruption in Liberia, because we cannot do everything on our own. We do not have the capacity, technical capacity, financial capacity, and otherwise to do everything required. So we have to partner. And the LCC, civil society, GSC, and the other institutions have been very critical to what we do, whether it is participating in activities that are organized by institutions or those institutions participating in the things we do. We have forged a mutually benefiting relationship that has helped our work substantially. So that is something that has happened. It may not be coined owner or project directly, but that relationship has maintained, and we've continued that engagement. In terms of citizens engagement, also non-project related, we've continued partnership with ordinary citizens. As you know, we have said consistently that we need an active citizenry to support the fight against corruption. If all of the things do are not supported by the public, by people who are directly affected by corruption, or people who are supposed to benefit from the anti-corruption fight we take on, we're not going to succeed anyway. But it's important just in top but other also public integrity institutions, whether it's the cost to make what we do and what others are doing in support of the fight against corruption, whether it is the events we have in the different locations that people attend to express the views, the concerns, and to commend us and other institutions for the work we're doing, as well as some of the actions that government has undertaken. Whether it is the press conferences that we've been having to speak to training issues in the country, of course, non-project related, but commenting on issues that matter. For example, some of the SSAs of public officials, the construction of properties added by the president that we've raised issue about over the period, or other government officials, some of the allegations that have come up, whether the allegation against the officials of the Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation, or the MCC vice chairperson that we've consistently called for state investigation to the matter, or the very issue regarding Madam Keita at the Ministry of State concerning the allegation of bribery, of requests for bribe from investors. These are all things that we've commented on over the period that we believe are important to the fight against corruption in terms of actions from the power deep. So yes, has not been taught only around projects or the specifics of the projects we implement, but the other broader things that we do to support the fight against corruption in collaboration with other institutions and stakeholders.
Great. Okay, so now we'll go to the center is implementing the National Integrity Building and Anti-Corruption Program. We have different activities under to be implemented. So let's now go to the specifics of those things, like you mentioned about the NIF that bringing together, integrity institutions, providing support, whatever way they are, coming together. And other, you have the Integrity Club with radio program, the Open Expenditure Initiative, and all of that. So let's go, one at a time, beginning with the NIF. What are some of the successes that we've scored with the NIF coming to the Art Club and all of those ones?
So, as you know, the National Integrity Forum is a multi-stakeholder platform meant to bring different stakeholders together, public integrity institutions, civil society actors, to collaborate, consolidate efforts against corruption. A group was set up a long time ago, but it has been dormant. It was dormant until through the grant from CEDA, CENTAL collaborated with other stakeholders to reactivate the National Integrity Forum. And for the last 1 year and counting, the group has been up and running, although with challenges, of course, but things are pretty much better than they were many years ago when the institution was entirely dormant. We're happy that the collaborative efforts has led to some sort of engagement with stakeholders. So last year, we had a session or an engagement meeting with civil society and media actors to solicit views around how public integrity institutions and media and civil society can collaborate in the fight against corruption. The important one of the important things that's also happened is that that platform has allowed the different institutions to meet as frequently as possible to have multilateral and bilateral meetings. So on the margins of the NIF meetings, CENTAL, for example, engages with the GC, with the Liberia Industry Transparency Initiative, or the LCC talk about things that matter to fight against corruption in the work of the different respective institutions. So this is something that is welcoming. We look forward to more of these kinds of engagements between amongst the actors within the National Integrity Forum, so that we can consolidate efforts against corruption. It's also important to know that part of what we hope to see the NIF doing is engage more with the public, come up with different pieces of information, relevant information that the public can use to engage, make constructive, to engage constructively with the fight against corruption, and that the NIF can also engage with policy makers, the lawmakers, for example, or the presidency, to make some recommendations around how practical actions can be taken to address some of the issues that continue to affect the fight against corruption. For example, honor financing of public integrity institutions, limited support, financial support, the slow pace of action when scandals are reported, when investigative reports are produced, the slow pace of action. The General Auditing Commission conducts audits and sends those reports to the legislature. These are all challenges that continue to confront the fight against corruption, to affect the fight against corruption. So the NIF as a body can take on these issues, engage with the legislature, for example, to advocate for or plead with them, if you want to put it that way, to timely pass on the bills that the president thankfully submitted to the legislature to help strengthen the fight against corruption. For example, the bill on giving LACC direct prosecutorial power, or the one on amending the code of conduct to ensure that the LACC take over the whole process of asset declaration. As you know, right now, the General Auditing Commission has that authority, even though the GAC has entered into an arrangement with the LACC to reside over the asset declaration process or receive the declarations that are made by public officials. But at the moment, the law says that the GAC is the one that is supposed to take that on. So that amendment to the code of conduct would give the LACC immediate authority over the asset declaration process. These are some of the bills that are before Parliament for action, and we expect that NIF can engage with the different actors, the presidency, and the legislature, and other players, so that the timely actions on some of the matters that are very genuine to the fight against corruption in the country.
Integrity Club. How is it?
Yes, so the Integrity Club, as you know, is a very critical part of the work we do at the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. Citizens are very crucial to the fight against corruption, especially young men and young women. And the fact that these are people who are either leaders now or will be leaders tomorrow in different sectors, public, private, otherwise. It's important that we treat them to the culture of accountability, transparency, integrity, value-driven actions, so that when they grow up and become the persons they want to be, they can exhibit those tenets of democracy, accountability, and transparency, or good governance more broadly, if you want to put it that way, in the things we do. So that is why we've placed a premium on engaging with the young people through establishment of clubs, what we call targeted clubs, in 4 universities at the moment in Monserrado County, so that we train people that can then go out there to engage with other colleagues to spread the anti-corruption message or integrity related message. It has been working very well, although the challenges. We expect to see a lot more from the integrity clubs. We expect to engage a lot more with the integrity clubs integrity club in the leadership, of course, with CENTAL, those who are coordinating the process by the national integrity building and anti-corruption program, and even beyond. But what we can say at the moment is that the feedbacks we've gotten so far are very positive in terms of these students and young people. Willingness to engage with the process is very, very critical. The core of accountability has to be mainstream in everything we do. It has to be discipline has to be instilled in our case, in the young people, young men, young women, and this aspect of the work we do as CENTAL is very key to that. And we believe that as we move forward, the collaboration we need from the different stakeholders, from the different schools, from the different universities can come, so that together we help to build capacity of people, prepare them for the tasks ahead, and even the ones that they're taking on at the moment.
Great. So under the NIBA program, you also have the Open Expenditure Initiative, where you bring under that you have the Open Expenditure Forum, where you bring stakeholders together to talk about activities. I mean, can you talk about some of the things that we've done, in that light?
Yeah, with the Open Expenditure Forum, as you know, the government has an open budget initiative, which is very welcoming, aimed at ensuring that citizens participate in the budgetary process, or they have access to information that can then inform their decisions in constructively engaging with budget related processes, as well as the broader governance of processes in the country. That process has been ongoing for some time. But in our center, we thought that even though this budget initiative, open budget initiative, is good, but much of what we've seen has been around disclosure of information on the allocations to the different sectors and institutions. So the government develops a budget, sometimes intermittently engages with stakeholders. Of course, the level of participation has not been meaningful enough, substantive enough for citizens to really influence the budget making process. But wherever marginal efforts have been made are welcomed, and we hope that the government can build upon it. But what is even more important beyond mere disclosure of information on what is in the budget for the different institutions and actors is how the allocated resources are utilized. And it's also important to know that budgets are projections. So the government says we want to collect this amount of revenue to expend during the fiscal year. And sometimes, often than not, the resources that are projected do not come in because of different constraints to the economy. And so at that point, it becomes important to give actual information in terms of what has unfolded during the budget year, and especially so expenditure information. So when we say CENTAL has 1 million, CENTAL has 10,000, what exactly is CENTAL doing with that 10,000? That is what is important. So yes, disclosing information that CENTAL has received this amount is one thing, but what CENTAL does with that money is what is even more important, because that is where impact will be made if the money is utilized for the internal purpose. And so the open expenditure program comes in to help with analyzing, following up on, documenting things that happen around expenditure, spending of resources in the counties, the social development funds, for example, so that people see very clearly what is happening. So we have these events, these forums, of course, there are preliminary engagements before these forums, so that we engage with the actors for them to have a sense of what we want to do, to have a buy into what we want to do, but then to also collaboratively create a platform that citizens can have much more adequate, credible, and substantive information to make informed decisions. So this is basically what we've been doing. Different issues have been coming out. Quite recently, our team was in the counties to gather information on the projects that have been implemented under the social development funds, by and through the social development funds. The information are in, we're collecting them, we're analyzing them. At the appropriate time, we're going to get to the public with the findings, and we hope that the recommendations that will come up will be implemented by the power that be, so that if there are accountability and transparency issues, they can be addressed. If there are information deficits around what's happening, they can also be addressed, so that together we help to improve the effectiveness and efficiency of the resources we have, especially the county social development funds.
Great. So you the program you are in tune to is called Integrity Watch. It's a 1-hour radio program brought to you by the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. It runs from 11 to 12 noon, and it is a primary radio-based communication and information dissemination platform of CENTAL. So today, as our guest is the Executive Director of CENTAL, Mr. Anderson D. Miamen. He is our guest today, and we're talking about activities being implemented by CENTAL over the years. And then quickly, let's go to the Advocacy and Legal Advice Center. What is it about? And then CENTAL released a report, the State of Corruption report. Then you can just conclude there so that we can take a few calls from our audience.
Here, so the Advocacy and Legal Advice Center is one of the key things we do at CENTAL. For those who may be hearing about ALAC for the first time, it is a center or platform that allows stakeholders, citizens, other nationals of nationals living in Liberia, even outside of Liberia, to report corruption, so that it's important to indicate that over the period, the engagement we've had with different stakeholders, especially citizens and other people out there, they've told us that yes, we want to report corruption. There are times that we can have issues, but we really do not know where to report these issues. And that's an honor manufacturer. It has been an honor of the Swedish government. Thankfully, many of the things we're doing here have been funded by the embassy of Sweden in Liberia, for which we're grateful. They provided resources to implement the National Integrity Building Anti-Corruption Program, and this is one of the core activities of that program. So we reactivated the ALAC, the Advocacy and Legal Advice Center, in 2020, the latter part of 2020, and has since been up and running. And basically, what that center does, like you said in your intro, is to receive complaints, corruption-related complaints, integrity-related complaints, and other complaints. And those complaints are processed and forwarded where necessary to the different agencies required for action. So since we're keen about transparency and accountability issues or anti-corruption issues, the corruption cases that come, we process them because we do not have prosecutorial mandate. We're only helping the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission and the government and other institutions to enhance the fight against corruption as a civil society organization. So that partnership with the LCC that has been serves as a basis for this engagement. So we get those cases, send them to LCC, they follow up, so that we are clear about the outcomes and we can be in a position to communicate the findings to those who made those reports to us. It has been largely successful over the period, although sometimes there's slowness in the rate of response, the extent to which the cases are investigated, or the timeliness of some of the things that are required. But I think generally it has been worthwhile. But we hope that as we move on, the pace of investigation and action on the complaints that are filed there can be increased, and that we can also do more to reach out to as many persons as possible. As you know, the NIBA program covers only 7 counties in Liberia. Corruption is not only in those counties that are covered by the NIBA program. So we're hoping that as we move forward, we can expand to other counties in other areas, so that people in those counties and communities can also have access to the platform we have to report corruption and seek redress. You talk about the state of corruption report. Before I come to the state of corruption report, it's also important to indicate that we did something very important in 2021. So in the middle of 2021, the middle part of 2021, the latter part of the year one of the project, we developed a compendium, or a book, a big book, as people may call it, containing all of the laws governing the fight against corruption in Liberia. One of the issues that people have faced, and they've told us consistently as we went out there to engage with public and stakeholders, is the fact that we want to access, for example, the law creating the LACC. We want to access the law creating the Liberia Strategic Industry Transparency Initiative, or the Public Procurement Concession Commission, but we cannot find these laws. So how do we then engage constructively with what the PPCC is doing? Because if we do not have the law, it means we not know exactly what the PPCC is supposed to do. If we do not have the code of conduct, access to the code of conduct, it means we wouldn't know what the public officials are supposed to do or not do, or some of the other things that are contained in the code of conduct, or the LCC, for example. What is it supposed to do? The structure of the LCC. How many board of commissioners is supposed to have? What's the menu of the LCC? How is corruption defined under the act creating the LCC? So we start and say, "Look, thankfully, the Swedish government again consented to provide resources for us to achieve this." We developed this compendium of anti-corruption laws. It's on our website, www.cental.org.lr. You go there, on the publications is there. You can access that book. It has almost all of the laws governing the fight against corruption. They are creating LACC, GAC, PPCC, LERTR, the Code of Conduct, Governance Commission, and many of the other frameworks that are directly and indirectly supporting the fight against corruption. So that's one of the things we did that I wanted to talk about. But then coming to the state of corruption report, you know that research is very important, because we are an advocacy organization, evidence-based institution. We place premium on gathering credible information that can help to inform the decisions we make and the decisions of other stakeholders. In the reports, we do make recommendations. Some of the recommendations are to government, some of them are to civil society, some of them are to development partners, and some are to members of the public. And it's important that we do so, because all of the players have different critical roles in the process. Government has a responsibility to fund public integrity institutions. Government has the responsibility to prosecute corruption cases. But we as civil society are responsible to engage constructively with the process, demand accountability, commend government when it does the right thing, scrutinize what is happening, disagree with the government when it goes wrong, and to also point out the different issues when as they come in or they exist. So this report, the state of corruption report, looks at what has been happening over the last 2 years in the anti-corruption space in Liberia. And generally, what this report says is that we're not doing a very good job at fighting against corruption in Liberia. To put it bluntly, we're not doing a very good job. The institutions that are trusted, or that are supposed to be trusted to fight against corruption or lead a fight against corruption statutorily, the executive, the legislature, the judiciary, and even public integrity institutions. People say in this report that they do not trust them much to do a good job at fighting against corruption. Rather, they trust civil society and the media. People also said that the police is one of the institutions that is leading when it comes to corruption in Liberia, considered or perceived as the most corrupt. So these are findings that are very concerning. But the important thing also is that a lot of the people are saying, look, we're willing to fight against corruption. Once we can build capacity, once we can have access to information, once people can give us leverage to speak out, once our voices can be heard, we're willing to contribute to the process. That for me, or that for us, is the most important of all of the things that came up in this report. And so we're saying that as we are in 2022 already and moving to 2023, especially the elections, this is a very critical period. What we do is important to sustaining some of the gains we've made over the period. We either go back or we go in front, depending on the actions and the decisions we take now and in 2023. So we like to say thank you to stakeholders that have supported our work over the period. We like to say thank you to the Swedish government that has been a very strong partner. We like to say thank you to the LACC, the JC, the PPCC, and all the other institutions, public integrity institutions that have supported our work and collaborated with us over the period, citizens that have constructively engaged with the work we do and commended us for the things we do, highlighted some of the things we need to improve upon. We like to say thank you to them. The media that has been a very critical partner to us in helping us to lift some of the issues that we further and forging this kind of partnership that has allowed us to be here today to speak to the public. We like to say thank you to the media, and we also like to say thank you to other development partners that may not have directly provided resources to us, but have provided technical support and have created platforms that have enabled interaction between and among civil society actors and partners out there, so that we collaborate in the fight against corruption. We recommit to supporting the fight against corruption. We recommit to doing the things we did in 2021 and even more, so that we make Liberia a corruption-free place for all of us to live and enjoy.
Thank you. Okay, he's already going into the prospects. So the voice you've been listening to is Ansin D. Miamen. He is the executive director of the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. So he's been talking about activities that Center have been engaged with of recent, including the National Integrity Forum, your Integrity Club, the Open Expenditure Forum, ALAC program, the launch of the State of Corruption report, the compendium, which have all of the different integrity laws, anti-corruption laws in a single space, and all of the different things that Center has been, including engagement with stakeholders and other partners in the fight against corruption. So the program is Integrity Watch, is a 1-hour radio program brought to you by the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. So we'll give you the time now to participate in the program. If you are out there, you want to be heard on the program, you want to make your point, you can call the number 077-017-5162, 077-017-5162, or you can call alternatively 0886-474563, 0886-474563, or 077-017-5162. Those are the numbers to call to be live on the program. So, Anderson, you already started the prospects. What do we expect from CENTAL going forward in 2022?
We expect to see more of what we've been doing and even improving upon the things we've done. We expect to bring some innovation to the work we do, use technology a lot more, so that we reach out to as many persons as possible. We also intend to continue with the partnership we forged over the period, establish new relations, strengthen those relations, so that we can collaboratively fight against corruption. What we say is that, of course, it's a fact that no one can win the fight against corruption alone, not even government, not a civil society. So collaboration is needed, strong partnership is needed, but one that is mutually benefiting, that is built on trust. confidence and all of that. So we intend to do more in forging mutually benefiting partnership locally and internationally so that we enhance the fight against corruption. We continue to also remain very frank and critical about the things that happen in Liberia. Of course, in the anti-corruption space, we can commend the good things as they happen, but we will also not refrain from speaking to the ills of society, speaking to the excesses of public officials, our leaders, and those who continue to abuse public resources for their own benefit, public resources and office for their own benefits. It's important that public resources work for the people. A lot of people are pouring like beer. This is something that is glaring. It's out there for everybody to see. Despite having enormous resources, it's unacceptable. And the only way that this country can be better for all of us to live and enjoy is when it's free of corruption. And so achieving that requires the efforts of all of us, and that's something that we're committed to doing. We've done that before. We want to do even more as we move towards 2023. Elections are coming. It's important that we remain engaged with the process in different ways so that people can get the right kind of messages for them to make informed decisions. What kind of leaders do we want in 2023 and beyond? Do we want corrupt leaders? Do we want people that come with empty promises? Do we want people who renege on their promises when they make them? Do we want people who bring back bags of rest to us to get our votes doing elections and everything? We don't see them again. Do we want people who have suppressed us over the period, wanting to come to get our votes again to ascend to power? Then they downplay the interests of the people as they take power. These are all questions that we need to ask ourselves as we move towards 2023. It's important that citizens meaningfully contribute to governance process. They cannot do that if they do not have information. That is why we have this platform to increase access to information and all the other platforms that we have to engage with the public so that the right information is provided for people to use them to make informed decisions.
What we do in 2022 is going to serve as the catalyst to 2023, meaning we go into elections 2023. How is CENTAL going to be engaged with not being politically involved, but how is CENTAL going to be engaged with the citizenry in educating them, like you just talked about, informing them to take sound and informed decisions?
Part of that is what we're doing right now. The messages we're giving here about the need to elect people who have track record of integrity, accountability, transparency, integrity. That's what we have to do. We have to collaborate with other stakeholders, the media. In 2017, CENTAL collaborated with other civil society organizations to have debates for the presidential candidates and vice presidential candidates. We can do that again where necessary. So, exploring possibilities of partnering with other stakeholders to have debates, to bring the different actors together to speak to what they have to do, the plans they have is important. That's something that we can do in 2022 and even 2023 again as we move to the elections. We can also, as we've done before, track what's happening around anti-corruption issues. What are the candidates saying? Are they making commitments to enhance the fight against corruption? Are they making commitments to strengthen the fight against corruption? What are they saying about the LACC? What are they saying about the procurement, illicit financial flows? What are they saying about debt transparency? These are all issues that are critical to us, critical to the governance process, critical to poverty reduction. And so, as we move towards 2023, these are things partner. But importantly, we're going to be following up on the things that people will say, things that people said before they would have done. We're going to come up with a report, even if it is not a detailed report, but some sort of publications that highlights the things that have happened over the period so that we have the process of increasing citizens' access to credible, independent information that they can use to make informed decisions. There are many other things we can do, but these are just the few thoughts we have initially as we try to build upon them to do a lot more again, working with other stakeholders. We cannot do these things alone. There might be a few that we do alone, but even as we do them, we need the inputs of others to strengthen them, to enhance them, so that we make them better for us as a country and people.
Great. So the issue of trust is very key in the fight against corruption and building integrity amongst the people and institutions. How is CENTAL going to get involved with ensuring that in part of its advocacy for more support to public integrity institutions so that they can do their work effectively to regain the trust of the people?
We've said that consistent happen. At the moment, attention to public integrity institution is very underwhelming, unsatisfactory. We need more financial support to
Let's
public
see,
integrity institutions.
we can take. Good morning. Okay, let's see you, Stanley. Stanley, can you just shift from where you are a little bit? Your line is not very clear. Are you there? Okay, let's hear you. Okay. Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, so I was saying that this is a key part of what we do. It's important that public integrity institutions get the support needed, financial, logistical, moral, and otherwise, to operate. The independence they need to operate. Those things are largely lacking at the moment. And so LCC has been complaining, um, GAC has been complaining, LETIA has been complaining, PPCC has been complaining. All of these institutions have been complaining about lack of resources, limited resources from government to operate. And the fact also that the leaderships of many of these institutions have not been fully constituted makes it even more concerning.
Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from? Okay, let's hear you, Stanley.
Yeah, like I said, I got a question first. Yes.
Yeah, let's hear you.
I want to know what is CENTAL stands as
Related to what?
as it relates to the current trouble in the country. I want to know CENTAL stands as it relates to this issue.
As it relates to current what?
What issue?
What's it?
Current
Theft?
theft.
Oh, okay. Power theft. Power theft, right? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the power theft issue is something we're concerned about. Some of the issues that have been reported to the Advocacy and Legal Advice Center on power theft. So yeah, I mean, nobody should steal. Somebody posted something on Facebook that the cost of electricity has dropped, so people do not have any more reason to steal current. And I was very clear that there should be no justification. There is no justification for stealing in the first place. So even if you have the cost very high, it does not give anybody the right and authority to steal current. So accountability in the power space is very important. People have to lead by example. If you want LC to expand the scope of its services to improve the quality of its services, one of the ways you can help them to do that is to be just to them, to be fair to them. So you can't see current, but then you want the LEC to provide the services you need, the adequacy of services, the quality, and all the different things that we talk about to get people satisfied with what to do. So that's something that we strongly detest, and we've been speaking to it very strongly over the period. Going back to the point about public integrity institutions and the attention to need, financial support to LCC, GAC, and the rest of the institutions are very key. We need to give them attention. And it's important to also indicate that there has to be practical will in the fight against corruption. At the moment, we're not seeing much from the presidency. We're not seeing much from the legislature in terms of practical actions in dealing with corruption. Many of the integrity related issues we have in the country are not being dealt with the level of speed and urgency required. We need to see much more of that in 2020, 2022, and even beyond as we seek to make inroads in the fight against corruption in Nigeria. CENTAL recommits to supporting the fight against corruption. We recommit to working with different stakeholders to improve on our anti-corruption scores now and in the future. Thank you.
Okay, the voice you've been listening to is the Executive Director of the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. He's Anderson D. Miamen, and we've been talking about CENTAL's work over the period over 2022 and 2021 rather, and then the prospect for 2022. So the program you have in Tunto is Integrity Watch, the 1 hour program brought to you by the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. It's from 11 to 12 and it's aired Truth 96 on Wednesday. So it's a primary radio-based communication and information dissemination platform of CENTAL. Thanks to my colleague Geraldine T. Wande, then behind the camera, making sure our visibility goes beyond studio. Mark Bondau is the lead technician, making sure that we are heard and viewed beyond this cruising studio. This is the media and accountability in Liberia. Join us next Wednesday. Thank you.
I think it's still